The glowing halls of the Astrix hive always felt alive, but today they felt different. They hummed with a strange tension, like the walls were holding their breath. Rael, the young human envoy, could sense it too. He walked beside the alien guides, trying not to look nervous even though his heart beat a little faster with every step. The air around him shimmered with pale blue light, and the floor beneath his boots pulsed gently like it was breathing. He had visited alien stations before, but nothing felt as mysterious as this hive. Here, everything moved on soft waves of energy. Even the plants glowed like tiny stars trapped in crystal shells. Rael wanted to touch one of them, but he remembered the warnings. The Astrix plants were beautiful, but their energy could be dangerous to other species. Yet he was curious, maybe too curious. As they entered a garden chamber, a soft wind moved across the glowing vines. Rael leaned closer to study a small crystalline leaf, amazed by its sharp shape and pale green shine. The guide behind him, an Astrix with shimmering white skin, started to warn him, but Rael had already reached out. His hand brushed the edge of the leaf. A thin cut opened instantly. It didn't hurt much, but the glowing energy inside the leaf slipped into the wound like a drop of living light. The room froze. The alien guards gasped. The guide took a step back in alarm. Someone pressed an emergency symbol on the wall, and the soft hum of the hive changed tone, sharper and louder. Rael looked at his hand. The cut glowed faintly, like it held a tiny star. It was strange but not painful. He looked up, confused. "What is wrong?" he asked. The Astrix guide's voice shook. "Humans should not touch that plant. No one should. Its energy reacts with all living bodies. It is not safe." Rael frowned. "But I'm fine." But the aliens didn't believe him. They moved around him carefully, not touching him but forming a protective circle. One guard whispered that the queen must be told. Rael didn't understand what the big problem was. It was a small cut. Humans healed fast. He lifted his hand again and watched the glowing energy spread like soft light under his skin. It looked unusual, yes, but it was not hurting him. Soon, the large doors at the end of the chamber opened with a low echoing sound. The Astrix queen entered, her tall form surrounded by a soft white aura. Queen Valera moved with a calm grace, but her eyes were sharp, glowing like two pieces of bright crystal. She studied the room, then her gaze locked on Rael. She came closer and everyone lowered their heads. Rael stayed still, unsure what to do, but he bowed slightly, hoping that was respectful enough. The queen spoke softly. "Show me your hand." Rael lifted it toward her. The faint glowing line was still there, like a thread of shining dust beneath the skin. The queen leaned closer. The guards watched her carefully, ready to act if anything went wrong. When her eyes focused on the wound, she froze. Her voice became a whisper. This shouldn't be possible." Rael felt a chill run through him. Her tone wasn't angry. It was shock. Real deep shock. She reached out her hand, stopping just before touching his skin. Her aura shifted color, a sign of intense emotion. "This energy harms every known species. Even the strongest warriors cannot withstand it. But you show no reaction." Rael swallowed. "Is that bad?" She didn't answer immediately. She looked at her healers, who stepped forward with gentle scanning orbs. Soft blue rings of light passed over his hand. The healers exchanged startled looks. One of them spoke quietly. "The energy is inside his cells. It is not attacking him. It is stabilizing." Rael blinked. "Stabilizing?" The queen nodded slowly. "This plant carries ancient energy. Even our own people treat it with caution. No one has ever held it without harm." She paused, her expression unreadable. "And yet a human stands here, calm and unharmed." The room stayed silent for several long seconds. Rael didn't feel like some special miracle. He felt confused, a little nervous, and somewhat embarrassed that his curiosity had caused so much trouble. But the queen's eyes were not angry. They were curious, deeply curious. "We must study this," the queen said softly. "Not to harm you but to understand. Your presence may reveal something lost to time." Rael nodded. "I understand. I'm not afraid." The queen tilted her head slightly, surprised by his calmness. "You humans do not fear easily." Rael smiled a little. "We fear things. We just don't run right away." The queen watched him for a long moment, her eyes glowing brighter. Then she turned to her guards. "Escort him to the inner chamber. Treat him as honored. No restraints. No fear." The guards bowed and motioned for Rael to follow. As he walked with them toward the inner halls, the wound on his hand faded slowly, the glow becoming softer, then dimming to almost nothing. Rail stared at it, amazed. He had no idea that his small mistake, his simple touch, had opened a mystery the hive had never seen. The deeper they walked into the hive, the more the walls shimmered with ancient energy. Rail felt like he was moving into the heart of a huge secret. The queen walked behind him silently, observing, thinking, questioning. The air seemed to shift as if the hive itself was interested in him too. Rail didn't know what the next hours would bring. He didn't know why the queen looked so shaken or why the plant's energy acted differently inside him. But he could feel something important happening, something that would change everything. As he reached the glowing doorway of the inner chamber, he glanced again at his healed hand. A simple cut had become something impossible. And the Astrix queen, watching from behind, still whispered under her breath, amazed and troubled. This should not be possible. The inner chamber of the Astrix hive felt different from the other rooms Rail had seen. The air inside was heavier and warmer, almost like it held secrets. Soft golden lights floated around the ceiling, moving like slow fireflies. The floor beneath his feet pulsed with a deep, steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Rail followed the guards quietly, trying not to look overwhelmed. Queen Valera walked behind him with calm, silent steps. Even without looking at her, Rail could feel her attention on him. It was not the attention of danger. It was the attention of someone trying to understand something impossible. When they reached the center of the chamber, the guard stepped aside. A round platform rose from the floor, glowing with a gentle silver light. The queen motioned for Rail to stand on it. "Do not be afraid," she said softly. "I'm not," Rail answered, though his heart beat faster. He stepped onto the platform. It felt warm, almost alive. The queen turned to her healers. "Begin the scan." The healers started the process. Floating crystal orbs circled Rail, releasing soft waves of blue energy. They caused no pain, only a faint tingling under his skin. Rail stayed still and watched the glowing orbs move around him. Minutes passed quietly. The queen observed without speaking, her eyes following every change in the readings. The healers checked their instruments again and again, exchanging confused looks. Their movements became slower, more careful, as if the results made no sense. Finally, one healer approached the queen and bowed. "Your Majesty," the energy from the plant did enter his body. But instead of harming him, it changed. The queen's voice was calm but sharp. "Changed how?" "It became stable. Peaceful. As if his body accepted it." Rail frowned. "What does that mean?" Another healer looked at him, unsure how to explain. "For every species in the galaxy, this energy becomes aggressive. It burns the cells and causes chaos. But inside you, it becomes quiet." The queen walked closer. Her soft white aura glowed brighter. "Your body did not fight the energy. It welcomed it." Rail blinked slowly. "I didn't do anything special." "That is what makes this important," the queen replied. She stepped around him, studying the readings floating in the air. Numbers and symbols glowed in shifting patterns. Her expression stayed thoughtful, almost troubled. After a long moment she spoke again. "Humans have always been unusual. Strong in ways that are not physical. But this is different." Rail didn't know what to say. He had always thought humans were normal compared to all the powerful alien species in the galaxy. But now the queen of a massive hive was looking at him like he carried a secret even he didn't know. The queen motioned for the platform to lower. Rail stepped off slowly. "Come with me," she said. She led him into a narrow hallway lit with soft green light. The walls had swirling patterns that moved like water. The path felt older than the rest of the hive. Rail followed quietly, wondering why she brought him here. After a short walk, they reached a round room filled with floating crystals. They glowed faintly, showing images that shifted like memories. The queen stopped in front of one crystal. It displayed a swirling cloud of ancient symbols. "This hive is older than most civilizations," she began softly. "Our ancestors once worked with energies that no one now understands." Rail listened carefully. The queen continued, "Long ago there were legends of a species that could calm energy itself. They could walk through storms of power and remain untouched. Many believed they were only myths." Rail looked confused. "You think humans are that species?" "I do not know," the queen answered honestly. "But the way your body reacted, it is too similar to ignore." Rail swallowed hard. "So you think humans have something hidden inside them?" "Not hidden," she corrected. "Forgotten." Rail stood quietly, trying to understand. He had never seen himself as special. He was an envoy, a simple worker, not a hero. But now he stood in the heart of an ancient alien hive while a queen searched for answers inside him. The queen touched the glowing crystal again. The symbols shifted into an image of a bright star surrounded by figures made of light. Our legends said that the energy-calming species helped restore balance during great storms. But they vanished many ages ago. She turned to him. If humans share even a piece of their nature, it changes everything. Rael looked at his hand. The wound was barely a mark now. Only a faint shimmer remained, like the last trace of a dream. I didn't know any of this, he said quietly. I believe you, she replied. She turned to her guards. Prepare the next test. But stay gentle. He is not a prisoner. The guards bowed and left the room. Rael remained with the queen, standing in quiet golden light. The queen's tone softened. You must not fear what we find. Answers are powerful, but they do not change who you are. You are still human. You are still yourself. Rael nodded. Her words eased the tension inside him. A moment of silence stretched between them, peaceful and calm. Then the queen spoke again, her voice thoughtful. The galaxy may not understand humans fully. Perhaps it never has. But now we must. This discovery will bring questions, from other worlds, other leaders. Rael sighed softly. I never wanted to cause trouble. You have not caused trouble, she said. You have revealed truth. She paused. Truth is never trouble. It is only the beginning of understanding. Rael looked around the glowing chamber, feeling the weight of everything happening. He wasn't sure what the next test would show. He wasn't sure what the queen expected to find. But he trusted her calm, steady presence. As the door opened and the guards returned with new scanning tools, Rael felt a strange calmness settle over him. He didn't know the answers to the queen's questions. But he knew one thing. He was ready to face them. The queen watched him closely, still puzzled, still curious, still searching for something she couldn't yet name. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Why does the impossible live inside you? Rael stood on the second platform with a quiet mind, but everyone around him seemed full of questions. The healers adjusted their glowing instruments, and the chamber hummed with a soft golden sound. The queen watched from a raised seat, her eyes bright with curiosity and concern. Rael felt her attention like gentle pressure on his shoulders, but it did not scare him. It only made him more aware of the importance of what they were trying to discover. The platform rose slowly, lifting Rael into the center of a ring of floating crystals. Each crystal held a tiny light inside, like a sleeping star. As the platform reached its height, the crystals awakened. Their lights brightened and stretched out into thin lines that connected with Rael's skin but did not touch him physically. They hovered close, scanning him in layers. Rael took a deep breath. Ready? He said softly. The queen nodded. Begin. The crystals moved in circles around him. Soft waves of harmless energy passed through his skin and deeper into his body. Rael felt warmth spread through him, like being touched by sunlight. It was strange but peaceful. Healers watched the readings appear on their hovering screens. At first their expressions were calm. But then the screens shifted, showing symbols Rael couldn't read. The healers whispered to one another, their soft voices quick and uncertain. One healer opened her eyes wide in disbelief. Rael looked at them. Is something wrong? One healer swallowed before answering. Your cells, they respond differently than any species we have studied. The queen leaned forward. Explain. The healer took a moment, choosing simple words. His cells create a field around themselves. A natural shield. It is not a barrier to stop energy. It is a stabilizer. She pointed to the screen. The plant's energy entered his body. But instead of reacting with chaos, it followed the pattern his cells created. The queen stood from her chair and moved closer to the floating screen. The human body creates order from unstable energy? Yes, your majesty. It calms the energy. Changes it. Rael blinked. I didn't know humans could do that. The queen's eyes glowed brighter. Humans do not know many things about themselves, Rael. Your species evolved on a world with storms, pressure, cold, heat, and countless dangers. It shaped you. But this, she touched the image on the screen. This is beyond natural evolution. Another healer spoke up softly. There is something else. Rael's heartbeat quickened. What? The healer pointed to another glowing pattern. Inside your cells, there is an ancient energy signature. Very small, but it is there. Rael frowned. Ancient? How old? The healer shook her head. Older than our hive. Older than most known civilizations. The queen became still. Her aura changed color, a soft deep blue that meant deep thinking in her culture. She stepped back and looked at Rael as if seeing him for the first time. The legends, she whispered. Rael stared at her, confused. What legends? She raised her hand and the crystals slowed their movement. The scanning process paused. "There are old stories from our ancestors," she said calmly. "Stories of beings who could calm storms of energy. Beings who walked through chaos unharmed. Beings who could touch unstable forces and make them peaceful." She paused. "We believed they were myths." Rael felt a strange chill. "And you think humans?" "I think humans carry a piece of what they once were," she said softly. "Something buried. Something forgotten." The idea felt impossible. Rael was just an envoy, not a special person. He had no strange powers. He had never sensed anything unusual inside him. But the evidence was right there, glowing on screens and shining through crystals. Rael looked at his hands, turning them slowly. They looked normal. They felt normal. But something inside them carried secrets he had never imagined. The Queen stepped closer. "You must understand, Rael. This discovery will not stay inside this hive. The galaxy will learn of it. And not all will react with calm." Rael nodded slowly. "I know." She studied his face. "Does this frighten you?" "A little," he admitted. "But I can handle it." Her aura flickered faintly, a sign of quiet respect. "Humans truly are unusual. You face fear with honesty." Before Rael could answer, the crystals began glowing again on their own, as if reacting to something inside his body. They moved closer and closer until the lights touched Rael's chest. A faint glow grew under his skin, matching the rhythm of the crystals. Healers gasped. The Queen's expression tightened. Rael looked down. "I'm not doing this." The crystals pulsed brighter, reflecting the energy hidden inside him. The glow wasn't dangerous. It was gentle, calm, almost soothing. It spread up his arms and across his shoulders like soft glowing water. The Queen whispered, "The ancient signature is awakening." Rael felt warmth rise through him, but no pain. The glow slowly faded, and the crystals returned to their normal light. The scanning ring stopped and the platform lowered. Rael stepped onto the floor, breathing slowly. He felt fine, but he also felt different, like a door had opened inside him and something quiet and old had taken a breath after sleeping for ages. The Queen looked at him with a new expression, respect mixed with a little fear but also hope. "Rael," she said gently, "this secret beneath your skin is not just human. It is universal. If your species carries this ancient gift, then humans are more important to the galaxy than anyone realized." Rael lowered his eyes. "But I'm still just me." The Queen smiled softly. "That is exactly why this matters. Power in the hands of someone humble is safer than power in the hands of someone proud." He lifted his head, surprised by her words. She continued, "We will study more, but not to control you or use you. We will learn together. Humans and Astrix." She paused. "For the future of many worlds." Rael nodded. He didn't understand everything yet, but he knew the truth. Something ancient lived inside humans, hidden for ages, waiting for a moment like this. He didn't know where this path would lead him. But he knew one thing clearly: he wasn't afraid of it anymore. The Queen led Rael through the quiet tunnels of the hive, deeper than he had ever gone. The air felt heavier here, warm and full of strange tiny sparks that floated like dust. The walls glowed with soft blue lines that moved like slow rivers. Rael walked beside the Queen silently, knowing something important was about to happen. He did not ask questions. He did not want to break the heavy silence. At last they reached a wide circular hall. The roof stretched high above them, covered in shining crystals that reflected light like falling stars. In the center stood a large ring made of smooth black stone. It hummed with quiet power. Rael felt a shiver run through his body. "What is this place?" he asked softly. "The Chamber of Truth," the Queen said. "It is where we test what cannot be explained by normal methods." Rael breathed slowly. "And you want to test me here?" "Yes," she said kindly. "Not to harm you. To understand you." Guards stood around the edges of the hall, silent and alert. Healers prepared their small floating tools. The Queen stepped into the ring and motioned for Rael to follow. As he entered, the black stone under his feet grew warm. The humming grew louder but remained gentle. The Queen raised her hand and the ring lit up with soft gold lines. "This trial reveals hidden patterns," she said. "It shows truth that lives beneath the skin. It does not hurt, but it will show more than normal scans." Rael nodded. "I'm ready." The Queen breathed deeply and activated the chamber. At once, a soft wave of white light rose from the ring and passed through Rael's body. It felt like warm wind touching his skin. The light circled him again and again, growing brighter each time. Rael remained still, trusting the Queen. The guards watched closely. The healers leaned forward in anticipation. The ring pulsed one more time, and suddenly symbols of light appeared in the air around Rael. They formed patterns, small glowing shapes that moved slowly, spinning around him like tiny stars. The healers gasped. The queen stepped closer. These symbols? I have only seen them once. Her voice shook slightly. In ancient records. Rael looked at the glowing shapes floating around him. They looked like old writing, but they moved and shimmered like living light. What do they mean? He asked. The queen did not answer right away. She studied each symbol carefully, her eyes narrowing in deep thought. Then she spoke slowly. They are marks of an energy bearer. A being who can hold unstable forces without being destroyed. Rael felt his heart beat faster. Like the legends you mentioned? Yes, she whispered. These marks should not appear on any living species today. She looked at him again, her voice filled with disbelief. And yet they appear on you. The glowing symbols became brighter, then drifted closer to Rael's skin. They did not touch him. They circled him like gentle fireflies. Rael felt a strange calmness flow through him, as if the symbols recognized him. One healer whispered, "The chamber has never reacted like this before." Another said, "It looks like the marks are listening to him." Rael didn't know how anything could listen to him. But he could feel something, like a soft vibration inside his chest. It was peaceful, not frightening. The queen lifted her hand and the marks froze in place. She stepped toward Rael until she stood only a few steps away. "Rael," she said softly, "this chamber cannot create these marks. It only reveals what already exists." She paused. "Which means these marks have always been inside you." Rael swallowed. He felt small in the huge hall, surrounded by ancient power he did not understand. "I didn't know," he said quietly. The queen shook her head. "I believe you. Humans do not know their full history. Many species forget their beginning. But this," she glanced at the marks again, "this changes everything." The ring pulsed again. This time, the symbols slowly merged together into a single glowing shape above Rael's head, a small, shining sphere like a tiny sun. It floated there warm and bright. The healer stepped back in awe. The queen stared at it, eyes wide. "The core sign." Rael looked up. "What does that mean?" She took a slow breath. In ancient times, only one type of being carried the core sign. They were guides of energy. Protectors. They could stand in storms that destroyed planets. She paused. They were believed extinct. Rael felt the weight of her words. A small glowing sphere floated above him, reacting to something deep inside his body. "But I'm not special," he said softly. "I'm just human." The queen's voice softened. "Humans are more than they think. Perhaps your species forgot its past. Perhaps you lost the knowledge long ago." The glowing sphere dimmed slowly, then dissolved into soft golden dust that drifted down over Rael's shoulders like warm snow. It did not hurt. It felt like a gentle touch, a quiet greeting from the past. The chamber dimmed. The symbols faded. The ring went silent. Rael stood there, breathing slowly, unsure what to feel. The queen approached him with calm, steady steps. "Rael, you have passed the trial of truth. And the truth is clear." She paused, her voice quiet but firm. "Humans carry ancient power. A power the galaxy has forgotten." Rael looked up, unsure. "Does this make me dangerous?" "No," she said at once. "It makes you important." The guards lowered their heads in respect. The healers bowed lightly. The queen studied Rael, her voice steady and thoughtful. "The galaxy will learn this truth soon," she said. "Some will fear it. Some will want it. But we will protect you." Rael nodded, feeling both nervous and relieved. "Thank you." The queen placed a gentle hand over her heart. "This discovery belongs to both our species now. We walk forward together." Rael breathed deeply and stepped out of the ring. He felt different, not stronger, not powerful, but aware. As if something ancient had opened its eyes inside him. The trial of truth was complete. But the real journey was only beginning. The chamber was silent when Nolan stood at the center, his hands open and calm. The queen's guards watched him closely, some nervous, some confused, all unsure what would happen next. The queen herself sat above them, her eyes fixed on him with the same shock she had shown the first day she saw his impossible wound heel. Every alien inside the grand hall waited to hear what she would decide. But Nolan did not look scared. He looked ready. He knew this moment was important for both sides. The queen had many questions, her council had many doubts, and the soldiers had many fears. Humans were a new species to them, and Nolan was the first they had ever met. His healing, his calm nature, his strange bravery, It all confused them. But Nolan did not want confusion to turn into fear. He wanted trust. He wanted peace. He wanted to show them that humans were not a threat. The Queen asked him one last time to explain everything. Nolan slowly told them the truth again, how humans had learned to survive on a dangerous world, how their bodies had changed over generations, how their minds pushed them to fight but also to protect. He told them humans were not perfect, but they tried to choose the right path even when it was difficult. He even told them how scared he had felt when he first arrived on their planet. His voice did not shake. His words were simple. But they were honest. The Queen listened carefully. She had seen the wound with her own eyes. She had seen his kindness toward her healers. She had seen him refuse to hurt anyone even when he had the chance. She knew he was telling the truth. But knowing something and accepting it were not the same. Her council stepped forward with their doubts. They asked him why humans grew strong under pressure. They asked why his wound closed faster than their medicine could work. They asked how they could trust a species that could survive so much pain. Nolan answered every question with patience. He told them that strength came from hardship, not from wanting to conquer others. He told them that healing fast did not make humans dangerous. It only helped them stand up again after falling. He told them that trust was built slowly, not forced. And he reminded them of something important, that he had been alone, unarmed, and completely under their control since the beginning, and yet he had never tried to escape or fight them. If humans truly wanted war, he said, he would not be standing alone inside their hall. The Queen watched her council grow quiet. She knew they were running out of doubts. She knew his answers made sense. And deep inside she knew the truth. Nolan could have been an enemy, but he chose not to be. He had chosen a different path even when he was hurt, confused, and scared. That choice meant more than any test. Finally she stood. The hall fell silent. The guards stepped back. Nolan stayed still. The Queen told everyone what she had decided. She declared that Nolan would no longer be treated as a prisoner. He would no longer be questioned or doubted. He would be welcomed as a guest, no as an ally. She also said her people would begin learning about humans with an open mind, not with fear. And she said Nolan would help guide them if he wished. Nolan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He smiled, soft and relieved. He said he would help. He said he would teach them everything he could about humans. And in return he wanted to learn everything he could about them. The Queen nodded. The alliance was made. What happened next surprised even Nolan. The Queen stepped down from her throne and walked toward him. She placed her hand near his, a gesture of respect in her culture. Nolan slowly mimicked the gesture. The moment was quiet, simple, and warm. The council watched with wide eyes. The guards finally relaxed. And Nolan felt, for the first time since he arrived, that he was truly safe. Days passed and changes spread across the palace. Nolan started working with the Queen's scientists, showing them how to understand human biology without fear. He trained the guards to stay calm around him. He helped the healers study the strange healing that had shocked them all. And the Queen visited him almost every day to ask questions about Earth, about human families, about human hopes. Nolan told her everything in simple words, and she listened with growing respect. Soon, the council accepted that humans were not a threat. They accepted that Nolan's healing was not a weapon but a gift. They accepted that their first human friend had walked into their world with peace in his heart. And the Queen began writing a new order, one that said her people would welcome humans in the future, not fear them. One evening, Nolan stood outside the palace and looked at the alien sky glowing with strange blue clouds. He knew his life had changed. He knew the Queen's life had changed too. And he knew something else. This was only the beginning. The Queen walked up beside him and asked if humans believed in new beginnings. Nolan smiled and said they did. She said her people believed in them too. Then she said something that made him feel warm inside. Their two worlds would walk a new path forward together. Nolan nodded. For the first time in the galaxy's history, a human and an alien queen stood side by side, not as captor and outsider but as partners. The path ahead was long, full of questions and challenges, but it was a path they would walk together. And for both of them that was enough.